Hello, welcome back to my channel. So basically today I'm going to CAB, which Citizens Advice Bureau, to for an appointment to fill out a PIP form. This is my second go round on the PIP merry-go-round, because I tried it. I did a claim, can't remember the exact date, but a year and a half, nearly 2 years ago, and it took literally almost 2 years to actually go through the whole process, which was just ridiculous, because I made the first phone call to get them to send me out the form. They sent me out the form quite quickly. I then had to get help to fill out the form, filled out the form, sent it off, and that was all quite good. And then I got the assessment like a couple of weeks later, which was all good. I did the assessment and that kind of went horribly wrong. At first I thought the assessment went quite well, but then I heard more about other people and their assessments and how assessments are supposed to go. And then I looked back at mine and thought, well, that wasn't right then, the way that one went, because what they're supposed to do in the assessment is, if you have physical disabilities and mobility issues, they're supposed to do physical tests on you, to see what your range of movement is, how far you can walk, what sort of things you can do and can't do, sort of stuff like that. And in my assessment, he didn't do that. All he did was ask a lot of questions which I had already answered on the form. So I think he was trying to he was using the questions on the form and asking them and trying to get a more in-depth answer from me, I suppose. I don't know. But he just kept asking the same questions over and over again, but he was asking them in a different way. And then, because he knew I had learning difficulties, he was throwing numbers at me, dates, times, asking me to remember things, and I have memory issues as well. So I was getting confused, because dates, times, I'm no good with. I don't remember dates and times. I might remember that I have done something, but I don't remember what time or date I did that, So, and at first I thought that's good, because he could see I was getting confused with it, and maybe that was his aim, to see how confused I get, and then maybe he'd write that down in his report. But no, he was just deliberately trying to confuse me so he could twist the questions, because when I got a copy of the report back, everything I had told him, he had twisted and lied about on his report. And when I said to him I have trouble walking just from my home to the bus stop, he put on there, doesn't have any trouble walking at all. I'm like, what? That is an absolute lie. That is not what I said, So the assessment went really badly, because the assessor was a bit of a trickster, I guess. But then I got a A couple of weeks later after that, I got the decision through and it was a no. So I did the mandatory reconsideration thing. And then a couple of weeks later, well, I think it was a month or two later, I got a letter back saying no again. So then I was like, right, okay, and I started the appeal process. Now that's where it started to take time, and that's where it just all went completely crazy, because I was sitting here 6 months, more than 6 months, maybe 9-10 months, just waiting for the first appeal. And then when I finally got the first appeal, went there and they said, oh, well, we can't really do much in this appeal because DWP hasn't sent the information they need to send over. So we can't actually make a decision now. So we're going to have to adjourn and do another appeal. So I was like, oh, great, fine. So I'm not actually getting a decision today. I was hoping I would. But they set up another appeal date, which again was 6 months, maybe more. I was waiting for that. And then when I finally got that, went there and they asked me loads of questions. And through all that, they said, well, it's a no. And I was like, what? And the appeal, I was so confused with the appeal, because they kept the judges or doctors or whatever they are at the appeal, they were saying to me, trying to make it clear to me, we're only interested in what your health was like at the time you made the claim. So I was like, right, okay then. So you're not interested in any of my new health conditions that I have got in the 2 years I've been fighting this PIP thing. And they're like, no, we're not interested in any of that. We're only interested in what your health was like when you first claimed. So I was like, right, okay. So I was focusing on that because that's what they kept asking me to focus on. But they were asking me questions about my new health conditions and about my recent health. And they were throwing times and dates at me again. And I was like, I don't know. I don't remember when this happened. All I know is I was diagnosed with it. I can't tell you what time or date that was. You know, I'm sure I have a letter here somewhere in my massive folder of medical documents that will tell you the time and date. You know, so that it was all kind of confusing, because I'm trying to concentrate on what they've asked me to concentrate on, but they're concentrating on something totally different, which is completely confusing me more. And my phone is slipping down. There we go. I don't have a proper tripod at the moment. I'm just kind of propping it up with a cup. But yeah, so it was all pretty much messed up, and I felt like the PIP system was against me to start with. You know, because the whole thing of we're only interested in what your health is like when you first claimed. How's that going to help me? Because I have, 2 or 3 degenerative conditions, and, you know, so my health is constantly getting worse every day, you know. So how's concentrating on what my health was like when I first claimed PIP, how is that helping me? You know, because by the time I finish going through all the PIP hoo-ha, my health is worse again. So they should be concentrating on, okay, this is a health condition that is going to get worse, so we need to concentrate on that. You know, now her health might be okay, but let's say in a year's time she might be confined to a wheelchair. You know, they need to take that into account. That's what I think anyway. and they should take that into account, but they don't. And I just felt like the whole PIP system is just kind of against me. And I've seen a lot of stories like mine of people that have gone through the PIP thing, and they've got worse health conditions than me, worse disabilities. I mean, there's someone I watched a video about, they had terminal cancer, and they couldn't work because of all the chemotherapy, making them ill, and all, it's cancer, they're dying of cancer. Surely they deserve a break, but no, PIP were like, no, you're fit for work. He's probably going to be dead in 6 months, give him a break, let him have the rest of his life off work so he can enjoy time with his family, and his friends. But no, they're like, no, you're fit for work, so they don't give a shit. They really don't care, and I've seen videos of whistleblowers from Maximus and Atos and the job centres and DWP and everything, saying that there are competitions going on in their offices, people, their workers, the one who gives out the most rejections, the most no's, gets a bonus or whatever, and with job seekers allowance, the one who gives out the most sanctions gets a bonus or something, and that is disgusting. They shouldn't be treating people like that, especially vulnerable people like disabled people and people with mental health issues. It's disgusting how they're treating their clients, but I'm kind of hoping this goes well. I'm terrified that I'm going to mess the form up, even though I'm going to have help from a professional who knows what they're doing with this form to fill it out. I'm still terrified that I'm going to mess it up somehow, It's really scary, and something like 50 pages, isn't it? Let's see. Oh no, 40 pages. 40 pages of confusing questions, and the way they've laid out the questions is really confusing as well in these PIP forms. That's one thing I got thrown by, in the first go, because they ask you a question, but then they give you questions underneath. You can't answer the first question, you've got to answer the questions underneath, and that's where it's really confusing. And it's basically, you've got to pick one of the questions, you can't pick 3 or 4, 2 or 3 of the questions, like this one here, managing treatments. Tell us about whether you can monitor changes in your health condition, take medication, or manage any treatments carried out at home. Monitoring changes include things like monitoring blood sugar levels, changes in mental state and pain levels. Home treatment includes things like physiotherapy and home dialysis. Now that's all quite simple. They're telling you what sort of things, they mean by that question. That's good, okay? But then it says tick boxes that apply to you, then provide more information in the extra information box. So Q5A, so it's asking another question. There's no box or anything to answer this first question. So they've asked one, and now they're asking you another one, and you're supposed to be able to answer them, both them questions, with 3 tick boxes, yes, no, and sometimes. do you need to use an aid or appliance to monitor your health conditions, take medication or manage home treatments? For example, using a dosage box or 4 tablets. Yes, no, sometimes. You know, so they've asked this question up here, Q5, question 5, but there's nowhere to answer that question, no tick box, nothing. And then they've asked another question, Q5A, with tick boxes. See, so I'm really confused. Is this question here part of this question here? I don't know. And then Q5C, they've got Q5B, help from another, if you get help from another person to monitor your health conditions, medication, and again, yes, no, sometimes. And then over here, on the next page, Q5C, they've got a box for you to tell them more about these questions they've asked here. But the box, as you can see, is quite small, you know, which is alright for someone who has like one health condition, you know, it's quite easy to describe. I have several health conditions which have hundreds of comorbids of their own. So for those who don't know, a comorbid, this is a tricky one to explain. For example, Marfan syndrome is my condition. Scoliosis is part of Marfan syndrome. But scoliosis is also, can be, a condition all on its own. So when scoliosis is part of Marfan syndrome, it's known as a comorbid. So kind of like a symptom. So like if you have the flu, a sore throat would be a symptom of the flu. But you can also have a sore throat, you know, normally without having flu. I hope that makes sense. But yeah, so because fibromyalgia, I think it has something like 200 symptoms and comorbids or whatever of its own. Marfan syndrome, I've not even bothered counting them. You know, scoliosis, hypermobility syndrome, a billion different conditions with the eyes, conditions with the skin, like stretch marks appearing out of nowhere, kind of end up looking like we've got the zebra stripes. All loads of different heart conditions that affect the lungs, all sorts, you know. And then of course osteoarthritis, that's got quite a few issues as well, not as many as Marfan syndrome or fibromyalgia, but a few. And then each condition I have affects each other as well, you know. So like if I'm having an issue with the osteoarthritis, that will then have a domino effect and cause an issue with the Marfan syndrome, then that will cause a fibromyalgia flare-up, you know. So it's kind of like trying to explain everything like that in one tiny little box is a bit difficult. And I know they say you can get your own bit of paper. If this ain't enough room, you can get your own bit of paper and do it, but I think they have a limit to how many bits of paper you can add to it though. I'm not entirely sure, I might have to look that up, but yeah. But the question's just really confusing the way it's laid out. I don't know if that's just me, you know. So anyone else out there who's going through the PIP or who has gone through it, did you have the same issue with me? Did you find the layout of the form confusing? Did you find the questions confusing? You know, because I am. and I'm getting help to fill it out, so hopefully it'll go well. And at the moment I'm just trying to read through the form to familiarise myself with it a little, because when I go to my appointment to fill it out today, they're going to be reading these out to me and asking me to answer them. So basically they'll read it out to me, then I've got to answer the questions, then they write down my answer, what I have said, you know. So, because as well, another reason why I'm getting help to fill it out is my handwriting and spelling skills are atrocious. My handwriting, put it this way, when my little nephew was like 3 or 4, his handwriting was a billion times better than mine, you know. People could make more sense of his crayon scribbles than they could of my hieroglyphic handwriting. So, you know, and that's because I have dyslexia and that I have learning difficulties, so that I struggle a lot with reading, writing and spelling. I have noticed I have been getting a bit better with it, with the reading, because at the moment where I'm doing all the poetry stuff to help with my mental health and to help with try and help with my social skills and whatnot, where I'm writing a lot of poetry, I'm reading it back to myself, my reading's sort of improved a little bit, and I think that's because I'm doing it repetitively. If I were to stop doing it for a couple of weeks, my reading skills would regress back to being really bad again. So it's because of the repetitiveness. If I stop the repetitiveness, that's it, it goes bad again. So but yeah, so hopefully this will go well. They say to get letters to send off. Now last time I sent off everything I could. I got letters from my GP reports, medical reports. I got letters from my heart doctors, my rheumatologist, everyone I got letters from, and I was like, even if I thought that's probably not going to be needed, I thought, screw it, I'll send it anyway, just to be on the safe side, because the more I send them, the more info they've got on my conditions, and the better it's going to be. But that obviously didn't really pan out, that didn't work. They weren't really interested in any of the paperwork I sent them. So, because they weren't interested in the new stuff, as I said. They wanted to know what my health was like and what help I was getting with my health when I first claimed. So, but then, you know, they were just focusing on my health now, but they weren't focusing on the medical letters and stuff that I had sent them. So, I don't know, they just kind of confused the hell out of me. But, so this time, I'm not going to send a load of medical forms or medical records. If the DWP want that, they can go and get it themselves. I'm not paying like 15 to 30 quid again on getting them to send them, because I don't have much money as it is, you know. So if they want the medical records, they can go and get them themselves. But what I am going to send them is this stuff here, which is reports from Southampton Social Services Disability Team. So they come out and did some assessments on me, home care assessments, home disability assessments, to see how well I coped at home doing everyday things such as bathing, getting in and out of bed, using the kitchen, you know, cooking myself food, preparing myself food, you know, all sorts like that, just everyday things. And they wrote a report up about that. Then I've got information about the assessment for home adaptations and the reports on that, about the shower that I had done, which Southampton Social Services Disability Team, they were the ones that referred me for that and sorted that out for me. So I'm hoping all this would be better than the doctor's letters, because this is a proper report on my health and disabilities. And that, because, not being funny, the PIP assessment, they don't see what you're like at home. They don't see how you struggle every day. You know, they don't see how you cope when you're making dinner. Whereas in this report, the person who came out to do the assessment, they did see all that firsthand, you know. So I think this is going to be better than the doctor's notes, and better, more information than the actual PIP assessment, which is good. And I'm hoping this would also help skip the assessment process, like CAB and SARC have said, because they said this time they're going to try and do it so that I won't have to do the assessment, because they said to me, by rights you shouldn't have to anyway, because you have a degenerative illness, a couple of degenerative illnesses, and usually people with degenerative illnesses don't need to do the assessment. All they need is their medical records, and that's it. So hopefully these will help even more. These reports will help even more get this PIP done without an assessment. So all fingers crossed. I've got my toes crossed as well. I'm not going to show you my toes because they're a bit scabby, but I do have my toes crossed as well. So yeah, fingers and toes crossed. I am terrified. But yeah, I'm probably going to have to end this video here now, actually, because I've got to be leaving soon to get to this appointment. I don't want to be late, because that's not going to help, is it? But yeah, I will check back in with all this PIP stuff and, you know, let you know what's going on with it. Hopefully I won't have a total meltdown. But yeah, wish me luck. See you all later. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.